in the first game or if we're going to have a normal start and just take things from there. In the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base of the reigning champion of the DreamHack SC2 Masters North America. Of course, he is representing Team Alpha X. It is Astrea.
Max Angel. And up here in the top left-hand side, representing Jinair Green Wings. He's had multiple nicknames over the years, many, of course, hinting at his power with Skytoss units especially, but he has been the most consistent Protoss in recent years, really just looking amazing, making it to 2 season finals in a row, wants to make it to that third one. In the top left in the blue, he is Trap.
I think it may be worth mentioning that this time Trap did not get invited to this tournament because he made top 4 in the GSL, as of course in the most recent season. Trap did actually lose in the quarterfinals, and the way that it works with the season finals is that we will have 6 Korean representatives, so the 4 guys that make it into the semifinals, and then all 4 players that lose in the quarterfinals, well, they'll play 2 best-of-5s against each other to determine who actually gets to participate in this event. And obviously qualifying for this event is awesome because it's a guaranteed $1,500, and then if you just win 1 best-of-3 you already get $2,000. And in that series, Trap had to play against Zest. I watched those games and he just looked really solid, kind of like what we expect from Trap, right? Like he kind of knew what was up. It got a little bit weird in one or two of the games, but in the end Trap took a convincing 3-1 victory over Zest, and that is what brought him here.
And that's a very impressive win. Anyone who looks down on Zest's play for being inconsistent, well, there is one matchup that Zest is almost always incredibly consistent in, and it is PvP. He's often the best PvP player in Korea for long periods of time, even when he's struggling against Zerg specifically or Terran players. So it's always a good confidence booster to take down someone as accomplished in this matchup as Zest. Now, of course, Astrea, a different beast, going to be opening up with the double adept. He did go for a much earlier scout, but a very standard follow-up. Astrea not bringing out any of that Nexus first or really quick gate expand shenanigans that he showed against Neeb in the NA finals. Of course, he really tried to push Neeb into feeling like he had to do damage. That is a specialty of Astrea. Something I've got my eyes on in this series is just the extreme swaps between defense and aggression, right? His ability to just go, hey, I'm going to hold down that worker key and get ahead can be really nice.
Yeah, this is actually kind of bad, running the 2 adepts just into the 2 stalkers like that. Now, at least the acceleration zones do help him to get away there, and they didn't take too much damage. But I'm a bit worried here for Astrea. I was about to say, he needs to get a shield battery because 2 stalkers deal very well with 2 sentries. I don't know if Trap ever wants to risk going up that ramp because then there is a chance only one of the 2 stalkers makes it into the main base. But I think picking up that probe is a start, and then you can maybe start working on that battery. I wouldn't have hated that idea, but with 4 stalkers on the other side of the map, this is actually going to be a little bit tricky because it's a fun fight, right? 2 adepts, 4 sentries against 4 stalkers. I think I kind of like the 4 stalkers as long as you make sure you don't get force fielded in.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? It's like, hey, let's pick a way. Come on, this shield battery won't last forever. These units all have less range than the stalkers. But a quick double stalker warp in there for Astrea. And Trap not really going to find too much. The hallucination, of course, going across the map, both of them opening straight into Twilight Council. Looks like they're going to be heading towards Blink, but look at this Stalker spread from Trap, anticipating that Astrea would try to counterattack the Adepts. A lovely move, nicely done by Trap.
Yep, Trap needs to be careful though that he doesn't overcommit as he takes a couple of shots from the Stalkers of Astrea, but so far the Stalker positioning has been absolutely marvelous, and as soon as Warp Gate was done, Trap actually decided to warp in his own 2 Adepts that are now chilling on the right side of the map, getting awfully close towards the natural of Astrea. Astrea does still have a probe on top of his ramp, so he could potentially wall off. I hope he's paying attention though, because there are a couple of things happening, but he is paying attention. That's very important, because if those 2 adepts make it in the main base, well, you end up losing 6-7 probes, and you may as well wrap this game up.
Oh, look at this Stalker movement. Another interception by Trap. Astrea's Adept. I mean, I'm amazed he's even kept them alive this long because Trap has just been intercepting them at every turn. He's going to grab one of them now. is Trap. But look at that incredibly quick third base for Astrea. Trap's moving down to secure his as well. But this is what I'm talking about with Astrea. His willingness to identify, wait a second, we're in a situation, he will always cut corners where other players kind of go, no, I got to get my third gas, maybe get a forge, get an extra gateway. Astrea's like willing to grab that Nexus very quickly, does delay his forge for it. But, the ability to explode that income, always something you got to worry about. Trap has to keep the pressure on to make sure Astrea doesn't just run away with the economy.
Yeah, but Trap is going up to 3 bases himself as well. At the same time, his adepts were still finding a little bit of damage on the right side. Now, Trap is moving to the other side of the map, and he even brought his sentries, which is such a crazy move out. Obviously, he really doesn't have to commit to anything at this point, since he's the one with the quicker +1. I know not too many units have gone down so far, but I think that Trap is playing some very high-level PvP. His army movement so far has been nothing but perfect.
Yeah, this is really good map control, and if you really looked at it without seeing Astrea's build, you'd be like, well, Trap's playing a super economic kind of defensive play style, in terms of what he's going for. It's like, no, he's out on the map the entire time controlling things, and does even clean up that adept as well. Both players very even in work. Is a very quick charge following Blink for Astrea. Wants to add that in. Will add some nice run-by potential. Of course, Zealots flanking Blink Stalker armies can be massive as well. Charge does come in only a few seconds behind for Trap. Both of them really very mirrored in this PvP. I mean, it's similar sentry counts, both on Blink. It's going to be very much a details of the execution, right? When you're dealing with the exact same unit set, similar economy, similar upgrades, it's all going to come out down to the movement and the micro on both sides.
Yep, they've pretty much done the exact same thing. The only difference has been that Astrea got that Nexus, the third one, a little bit quicker, but then Trap got his Forge a little bit quicker. And other than that, they're pretty much doing the exact same thing. Now, Astrea is warping in 5 more gateways at once, so that is going to give him the advantage when it comes to producing the amount of units. There is a War Prism out on the map already for Trap. Like, even though I love the way that Trap has played so far, since this game has been so even, I actually think fighting on the other side of the map becomes difficult. Even if you have a War Prism with your army, I'm not sure if I like this move out. Okay, he's getting a Dark Shrine as well, so I guess he doesn't really want to commit and he's just trying to scare Astrea, perhaps?
Yeah, I think both of them kind of feeling things out right now. It's one of these games where it's like they're both playing so flexibly and reactively. It's kind of hard to see if there's a set plan. But three sentries in a force field, that tells me something, doesn't it? Trap here going for the ramp force field. He's got to be careful. It's a lot of Blink Stalkers for Astrea.
Yep, and during this, there are a couple of adepts as well shading into the third. So this becomes very awkward. This is kind of a weird position to fight right now. Astrea should blink into his main base, if you ask me. He's got a super battery as well on the right side. He's just going to rely on the force fields instead. And I mean, we know that Trap is getting a Dark Shrine behind this, and he found a tiny bit of damage as well with the adepts. Not that much. I'd say that was all right defense by Astrea, but I feel that he maybe could have capitalized on that position a little bit more and pick off a few more units of Trap.
Yeah, well, Trap is furthering the income. Astrea is looking a bit all in right now. He does start +2 finally. Starts rebuilding just 2 probes, but no 4th base on the way. Astrea moving across the map here with what looks like a counterattack potential. I think with the shield batteries down, though, such similar armies, I don't know if there's really an opening for Astrea. Let's see if he can do something with the force fields. Those shield batteries, of course, a big boon to Trap's defense.
Yeah, I really don't think this is a fight you want to take if you're Astrea. Astrea is going to try to run a couple of Zealots into the main base. That's cool, but there is a shield battery there as well, so Trap should be able to just warp in 1 or 2 units. Instead, Astrea is going to go for that pylon. I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I'd love to see Astrea take the extra simulators at this point and start heading into Archons, because with just Zealots and Stalkers, I don't think you're ever going to win this game.
Well, luckily for Astrea, those DTs did get spotted, and one of them got caught on the way across the map. Now, there's one going into the third. Where is Astrea's observer? He's got one nearby, but it's not quite there. I'm surprised after seeing a DT run into his army to not have prepared for that. A big mistake, and that DT there forcing an evacuation of the mineral line. 4 worker kills as well. Astrea having to try to recall a probe and units back to that third base. But this already just takes the momentum, the wind out of Astrea's sails. Trap looking quite solid. And that DT just being a real nuisance, forcing a lot of Astrea's attention home. Astrea, though, he's got the quicker 4th base, but he's taken a big hit to his economy. He's down about 9 workers. And I think he's definitely looking for the Prism in the main base. The army, though, growing much bigger for Trap.
Yep, I mean, Trap has his first Archons out on the map now as well, so I think he's looking for a fight. Astrea's gonna try to go into the double Robo base. So if Astrea can survive for like a minute or 90 seconds, gets 2 or 3 disruptors out on the field, then obviously anything is still possible. But Trap seems to have such a fantastic read on this game that he is gonna go for the attack, but now maybe things can get chaotic. Astrea has a lot of gateways, gets that Prism in the main base, and his main army is going to attack the third. I'm a bit worried that he doesn't have any observers here. Now he's got 1. I feel like Trap should just warp in DTs in his main. Come on, Trap, you've got a Dark Shrine, why wouldn't you?
There we go, a couple DTs. One of them does get cancelled though as the pylon goes down. Probe's trying to go across. This is a full-on base trade. Unfortunately for Astrea, both of his robos get taken down. Only one disruptor pops and it's going to die before it can even fire. But you know what? It is a bit of a head start on killing the Nexi on the third base. Astrea's jumping on the other one. Astrea does have that fourth on the left, but already probes have snaked across the map for Trap. Trap is getting ready for this base trade. Honestly, the armies are very even right now. +2's kicked in for both sides. This is a really close base trade.
Yeah, but I don't think the armies are that even in a straight-up fight, though. With 5 Archons, it's just impossible for Astrea to ever win that fight. He's got 21 Zealots. Those are going to absolutely melt against the Archons of Trap. But what you can say is that maybe Astrea can make something happen with all the Blink Stalkers, because he does have 4 more Stalkers than Trap has.
Astrea didn't get any probes out. He's got 2 probes barely snaking out of that base, but there's units on him. They're not going to get anywhere, and that means he can't rebuild on the other side of the map. Astrea will not be able to rebuild. He's going to be eliminated in this map. I don't think there's any way he can keep up in this base trade. Meanwhile, Trap has started and built a pylon on the other side of the map, so Trap here is looking completely poised. He's building a Nexus as well. And these are the last buildings for Astrea.
Yep, I mean, there's still a couple of Stalkers. I thought maybe Astrea can force Trap to take that fight, but yeah, you're spot on, Pig. I mean, there's just absolutely nothing going his way at this point. The armies are getting close to each other, so maybe Trap doesn't really want to bank on the fact that that is a fight he's going to win. Astrea blinks forward, tries to get the Prism, but like I said, this is not a fair fight. With 5 Archons, you don't really take out 5 Archons like this.
The power of that Archon wall, yeah, you talk about it, man. That is a huge power spike. It's like, hey, Blink Stalkers could pick those off, right? If you've got many minutes of the Archons just following you stupidly, but they're not going to do that, are they?
Okay.
Stalkers are now going to eliminate these last couple of buildings.
Yeah, but maybe Astrea can actually eliminate Trap. I mean, it's going to be very hard, right? And he's running out of time. The gateway goes down, and when the pylon goes down, this game will end. GG does not get called, obviously, because he got eliminated. Trap takes it 1-0. It kind of feels a bit anticlimactic because we didn't really get to see the fight that we were like building up towards and we were hoping for, but that also just wasn't going to be a fight. Astrea was hoping that he would pull Trap back so he could start getting his disruptor count up, but Trap was like, nope, I'm having none of that. I've got 5 Archons at this point. If you want to fight, we fight. If you want to base trade, that's fine by me as well, because he obviously indeed prepared for it, sent a couple of probes to the other side of the map. I gotta say though, up to that point, the first 7-8 minutes, they were picture perfect by Trap. Like his map control, his scouting, his stalker movement, the adept movement, everything was incredibly on point. I think Trap just displayed us why we often refer to him as the best Protoss player in the world.
Indeed. I think that was a beautiful way to start off the series. Just that 4 Stalkers pulling back from the pressure, splitting, and the Adepts of Astrea moving out and shading onto the Stalkers. It was like, oh, you've planned this one out very well, haven't you? And despite that, a very even sort of game. You mentioned it at the very start of the series. Trap wanted to keep the aggression up, not let the game go too long, wanted to keep it simple, and going for that attack timing at the perfect moment. As you said, if the disruptors come out, things change, they get more complicated. Trap not giving any room for that, and definitely a good start to the series. Next map's going to be Romanticide, which I'm very excited for. How does PvP play out on that one, Kev?
I mean, some people like to go for the earlier expanse here because there is technically no ramp leading into the natural, but then there is a ramp that is leading into the part where you would normally take your natural. So some of the early Nexus builds are pretty strong here, but it's also such a big map where I think maybe Proxy Stargate becomes a little more likely, right? Because it's harder to find it. I think it's a bit easier on smaller maps. I do want to mention, by the way, a lot of people are very obsessed with like, what server are these games being played on? The first game was played on US West, so that obviously gave an advantage to Astrea. Unfortunately for him and all the American fans out there, he wasn't able to capitalize on it. For the second game, we are moving to Korea because Astrea is, I believe, living on the West Coast, San Diego, if I recall correctly. So to keep things fair, first game on America, second game on Korea, and that means that Trap is going to feel really good about having that 1-0 lead because he just played on the enemy server, Pick.
Indeed. Definitely. It's always good to take that one down there.
Ooh.
And going back and forwards, I mean, it's by no means an insurmountable edge. People often exaggerate, I think, how much it is. But it definitely does make a big difference, especially when you're in those situations where you're both back and forth. Say you're trying to scoop each other's units with force fields in the early skirmishes, like those sort of interactions. You're trying to do things like that, blink up on the high ground and force field their ramp. That stuff is very impacted. Anytime you've got disruptor skirmishes going for an extended period, you know, in a game where it's more, okay, we're just adjusting our build orders, do a bit of harassment here or there, it doesn't add up that much. But the moment you've got armies posturing back and forth, constant reactions, that's where the ping can make a big difference. So that's a sort of way you can try to leverage that advantage. When you've got the server advantage, you can try to just force more back and forth, and that's where you can gain an advantage.
Yeah, maybe that's why Astrea went for the strategy that he chose in the end as well, right? Because I think in general, if you do have, you know, ultra low ping, because if he lives on the West Coast and he's playing on the West Coast server, yeah, then you really feel like you can get max value out of every single blink stalker, go for some proper run-bys with the Zealots, because it really feels like you're in your stride and you're hitting, you know, all the right spots. On the other end, for Trap, he's probably like, all right, let's keep this game simple. You know, if I get an army with a couple of Immortal Stalkers and a couple of Archons, it doesn't really matter if I have high ping or low ping. If I can just force the fight, it's going to be okay because those armies just kind of trade out with each other.
Yeah.
As Pig and me are having a little bit of banter as Pig has joined the game under a barcode. So I'm a little stressed out right now, Pig. I get a little anxious when I see barcodes in my lobby. I don't know why you're doing this to me, mate.
What can I say? I'm a big Raynor fan. I'm a big fan of, just needed an account that looked like a pack of spaghetti. So, you know, just a whole bunch of lines there. Of course, swapping the servers back and forth. It's funny because back in the day when the accounts weren't all joined, remember you used to need a special account to play on Korea. I used to have many different accounts to play on different servers, and then they all kind of got joined at that one point in StarCraft's history. So now we get you swap servers, and it's like a lucky dip of which account it's going to log you in on. So the barcode I haven't played on in many years with the Diva portrait, you know, that's me in the lobby, and I'm always quickly, hey guys, please don't kick me. I'm not a random person trying to hop in the game. It is Pig, I promise. And Mapu, our lovely observer, thankfully has me on his friends list. So he confirms that, and I do not get immediately kicked from the lobby for once, which is great.
I actually think there's a very good chance that Trap is going to play Stargate on this map as well. Like, I think controlling Oracles with 200 ping, I mean, I personally am horrible with Oracles when I have 0 ping, so with 200 ping, I would never even dare to make one in a million years. Obviously, Oracle openings are still very powerful in PvP, and I think this is a good map for it, so I'm actually kind of feeling an Oracle opening out of Trap. And Astrea maybe goes for like a proxy, maybe a straight up 3-gate opening or something. Just run a couple units to the other side of the map and try to get lucky with the build orders clashing against each other.
Definitely. I mean, I think Oracle expands are so powerful in that current meta. And Romanticide's going to be the next map in this series. Of course, this is a group stage. It is best of 3 matches here. See who's going to face Cyril in the winners, who's going to face Ender in the losers match. And here we go into Romanticide. Of course, the American champion. He made it to the grand finals twice in seasons 1 and 2, and he ended up finally taking the crown in season 3. I think we can definitely call him the king of North America after the year he's seen. Let's see if he can go and rep it on the big stage. In the top left-hand side of the map, representing Alpha X, he is none other than Max Angel Astrea.
Got his work cut out though, as he's going up against this man on the Korean server in the bottom right side. We're looking at arguably the best Protoss player in the world. It is Trap.
And looking for proxies, Astrea there. Just double checking. Meanwhile, Trap comes in for a much earlier scout this game. Doesn't want to let Astrea put that super quick Nexus down, but there's actually no second gateway just yet for Astrea. He's going to go out and proxy a pylon on the map. He's going to go for that quick cybercore opening. This one's been gaining popularity recently, and I kind of like it because it's this balanced and flexible opening where if your opponent blocks your expansion, you can just use the double gas, go for very quick attack. But sometimes you'll see the player kind of go the double gas and then actually still just drop the expand if their opponent's not messing with them. It's a very flexible opening. Often we do see Stargate off it, and with that much gas backed up and that proxy sitting there, Astrea is definitely looking poised for it.
Actually, I find this a bit of an odd opening by Astrea, right? Because, yeah, one gate, and if you then want to go Stargate, that's fine. But I think going for one gate, Stargate, and then proxying the Stargate as well, it actually becomes very risky. Because if Trap finds the Stargate, Trap can just run his Stalkers to the other side of the map, and then you're going to have a very difficult time, I think, keeping that Stargate online. That probe is clearly looking for it. But I also want to point out is that Trap did send a second probe into his natural roughly a minute ago. So he seems to be very well aware of the reputation of Astrea, that he likes to go for a cheeky cannon rush every now and then. And Trap has successfully spotted the Stargate now. This is going to be hard, man, because those two Stalkers are already running towards that Stargate. And then since Astrea only has a single Stalker out right now, maybe he can get two Stalkers there in time. But kind of a weird opening by Astrea. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love it either.
Oh, it's looking like that. Yeah, that pylon definitely in trouble on that. Phoenix starts up, and yeah, this is what I was actually expecting from Astrea, was a kind of hidden Phoenix opening, where the whole idea is that, but because this is so far out and so accessible for Trap, it's a little hard to defend. The two Stalkers do come down. They'll push him back for the moment, thankfully. But Astrea does lose his scouting probe on the other side of the map, and he cancels the Phoenix and builds a Void Ray. Ah, nice call from Astrea.
All right, so we're going to play some Immortal Void Ray apparently here. Trap, meanwhile, has a Stargate on his side of the map that Astrea is not aware of, and it's actually going to be very difficult for Astrea to scout that, right? Because how is he supposed to scout that right now? You don't want to send your Void Ray to the other side of the map, because then it's a sitting dock. It's simply way too slow for it. That Void Ray is going to get spotted now as well by these four Stalkers, though. Trap sees it. He's like, whoa, a Void Ray? That's kind of weird. I thought you were building a Phoenix. I don't know. I don't like this opening by Astrea, but maybe he can at least just try to get his Nexus up and running. He does have a much quicker Nexus, of course, than Trap does. It's just that now he lost his Stargate, and now he basically has one gate Robo against a Phoenix opener. Now, Pick, that's a very bad scenario, as he does have a second gate finishing up, but I think that Trap can just continue building Phoenixes. He doesn't have to bust Astrea here, but he will always find a lot of economic damage with the Phoenix, because nothing that Astrea has is good in dealing with Phoenix arrest.
Yeah, Void Rays don't really take care of those Phoenix very quickly at all. He's got plenty of ground defense, does Astrea, but those Phoenix are going to be able to pick up a couple of probes to start things off in the main base. And let's see exactly where. I would imagine Astrea is just going to go for a Twilight into Blink, but very much going to have to just absorb these probe losses. Now, that quick Nexus is what kind of gives you hope here. You might be like, oh man, that's really rough, but he's actually going to push across for a counter pressure here. Four Stalkers, a Sentry, a Void Ray, and an Immortal. That is a Stalker killing army. The problem is, I think this is, yeah, that's a good choice. I was going to say, Kev, I'm like, this is the one where you move halfway across the map and then you run home. Because if you commit, those Phoenix just pick up all the important units, right? They just go down way too quickly. So I like the feinted pressure from Astrea, but quickly pulls back.
No, I like that as well. I think it's the correct call. Otherwise, he would have 100% lost his Void Ray against the 5 Phoenixes, and then the Immortal gets lifted and he loses the rest of the army. But that doesn't make it any better, because what I said before still stands. You cannot defend against Phoenix arrest with the opening that Astrea went for. Trap is obviously incredibly good with these Stargate units as well. Give the man an Oracle or give the man a Phoenix, and he knows what to do with it. And even though it looks kind of even right now, it's going to take so damn long before Blink is truly out and you can start properly dealing with these Phoenixes. I really hate Astrea's spot. It's still playable, Pig, but he's going to fall behind because it's inevitable that he will take some more damage down the line.
Still up 2 probes for now, so definitely something where because of that early Nexus, he's absorbed it. But like you said, it's not over just yet, is it? And these Phoenix here, they want to find it. The Void Ray gets some damage, but there's nothing in the main. You know, Astrea pulled every unit to the front. He's trying to warp in Stalkers to deal with these Phoenix. Ooh, good pull back on that red hit point Phoenix. Nice micro from Trap.
Yep, Phoenixes are very quick. Now, in the end, he will finally end up losing one Phoenix, but not before he got one more Stalker kill, gets 3 more probes. For the first time in this game, Trap has taken the economic advantage. And, you know, don't forget that on top of all of this, he gets perfect scout as well, so he did make a little mistake there and almost flew into the flanking Stalkers by Astrea. I'm kind of in love with the way that Trap has played this best of 3 so far, Pig. Like, I want to believe in the upsets, and I do think that Astrea can absolutely take a best of 3 against Trap, but I don't think it's going to be this one, because Trap is just on point so far.
Look at this. Trap comes in for the Observer snipe. Really well done. Phoenix take that out a bit quicker. Does lose a Phoenix for it, so a bit of tax paid there by Trap, and Astrea's already straight up into that third base. An interesting DT shrine in the back of the natural. And I think it's one of those DT shrines that gets scouted like 10 seconds after it starts building, unfortunately. Phoenix come in, grab a few more probes as well. 3 probes and the scout on the DT shrine. I think the Phoenix have done their job in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just... isn't it? I should build a few more of those in my own ladder games, you know what I mean?
I prefer it with +1. I would like to see a +1 attack on it. I don't know, man.
In PvP, that's a little degen, but you know what, Pig? I've tried it, and it's not all that bad. It's becoming more popular in Europe, by the way. People are loving the Zealot Phoenix +1.
Oh, man. That's so cool to see, but... Actually, is this 8 gateways already? Already up to 7 gateways is Trap, and Archon's already joining in. You're talking about the power of the Archons earlier. Well, guess what? Charge has just started. DT Shrine's not ready for Astrea. I think this might just be a big killing blow push for Trap, because the vision just isn't there. Astrea comes across the hallucination. He's seeing the gateways now, and he's like, whoa, uh-oh. There's no shield batteries on that third. There's only one on the natural. He's making a lot of Stalkers right now, which he's going to have to micro his heart out. Do you think he can hold this, Roddy?
I think with perfect micro, you can actually perhaps hold this, especially if you snipe the Observer. Well done. Astrea loses, or Astrea picks up the Observer of Trap, and that means now he could warp in a defensive Dark Templar, and I don't think Trap can attack. How do you attack against a man with a Dark Shrine if you have no Observers?
Definitely a good point there, and yeah, DT's warped in immediately. That's going to hold on here. And remember, with the third base already finished, 7 workers on it. That's a big economic advantage. Astrea's pylon block. Trap's third on the other side of the map. And the DTs are here. Ooh, Phoenix do commit. The DTs need to get in the front of that fight. Those DTs need to get in there.
Yep, and this is very awkward for Trap because he wants to fight. He knows he's got the better army, but there are 4 Dark Templars slicing away, so that is not going to do it. Oh, Trap, you played a pretty perfect game so far. Now the Observer does show up. I would like to see Astrea morph his DTs into Archons indeed. He did still lose a lot of units. I don't know, he's got a lot of things going for himself. He has the static defenses. I just don't know if his army is powerful enough right now. Even though he picks up an Immortal, I mean, that's a good way to start a potential defense.
Ooh, gets the second Immortal as well, does Astrea. He doesn't have too much meat behind this. His third is getting ravaged by the Zealots right now. Those Phoenix adding a few lifts. The Archon does go down. His own Archon, much healthier here, comes on in. The Zealot's going for the third base for Trap, but he's not able to secure the snipe on that just yet. And Trap, he really wants that snipe. He does not want to let this third live. It looks like he's going to be able to get it. Nicely done, Trap. Loses all of his valuable units, but he does get the third and even manages to recall 4 of those out to safety.
But it's not as bad as it was before, I think, for Astrea, right? Because +2 is done now. He immediately fires up +3. And what remains of these armies, I actually kind of like having the 10 Blink Stalkers right now. There's a lot of potential in these Stalkers. The Phoenix count is dropped to 2. So it's not like you can just lift Stalkers because then, you know, they're going to get picked up one by one. It's actually a bit of an awkward game right now for Trap. Losing that Observer before the initial battle started really hurt him. It delayed his push and it made his push weaker. And now I think there's a lot of potential for Astrea in this game with the upgrade advantage that he has created for himself.
Oh, good micro here by Astrea. Does already lose one Stalker, though, unfortunately, and Trap nicely protects the third, fends him backwards. Astrea gets the Observer on the other side of the map. Damn, Trap's Observer's having a hard day today, and that's a really powerful move because he's going for Blink DT, the Shadow Stride upgrade behind this. However, Astrea doesn't have the insurance at home. His pylon spots the Warp Prism coming into the main, so he does have time to react to that. The Trap, though, changes directions, comes in on the third base instead. Trap's drop, smart moves, finds a couple probes.
Yep, just a single probe, but I think the Trap knows he's gonna have to be very careful with this Prism because there are still a lot of Stalkers out on the map, and also he just lost his Observer again, like you mentioned, so going for a big wipe in the main base, I think it's kind of pointless because then Astrea will just wipe in defensive DTs, right? And then it's like, well, I just donated 5 or 6 Zealots for no reason.
Still got a probe lead. These two Phoenix, though, come in and do manage to take out 2 more workers. Still getting value out of them. They are veteran Phoenix, 5 kills and 6 kills apiece. The Archon Immortal Zealot army, not bad for Trap. It's a real... If it stands and fights with Stalkers, it kicks their butts. But the Stalker count is massively advantaged for Astrea, which gives him big mobility. And he's going into Disruptors. A second Robo for Mass Disruptors and +3 is about to kick in on the Forge. I definitely prefer Astrea's position a little bit, especially if Trap doesn't see the Disruptors ahead of time. I feel Trap really needs to spot that so he can start powering out a few more Phoenix.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I don't know if Trap is not expecting. He's got to be kind of expecting this. He has a couple of Zealots on the bottom side, and he sees that the Stalkers are once again going for a little adventure. Trap is going to try to go up to 4 bases as well, but I think the Stalkers could cancel it. I mean, Trap feels like he can still hit a window before the Disruptor count reaches a critical mass. And since there is only a single Disruptor out, second one is almost out, he might be onto something because, yes, having 20 Stalkers is fantastic. They don't deal very well with 4 Immortals and a War Prism. Yeah, Trap's like, you know what? No time to waste. He's just going to go for it, pick.
Yeah, not a bad call at all. The Disruptors trying to get over there only manages to completely get dodged by Trap. The Stalkers have been zoned out. Yeah, again, a game where Astrea didn't really see the army coming across the map, and he's in huge trouble. Trap picking Archons up to dodge Disruptor shots. Oh, this is a crushing push from Trap.
Yep, a couple of Dark Templars have been wiped in. War Prism does get picked off. I don't know if there is an Observer with this army. Trap has 1 Observer. It's about to show up, but it's not totally there yet. But perhaps the damage is already being dealt with all these probes going down. And now even in the natural, I think we're going to end up losing a few more probes as well. This was a sick timing by Trap because he didn't really think it existed. But he's like, you know what? If your Stalkers are out of position, I'll keep them out of position with my Immortals. And we're going to dance in your natural. As 1 more Disruptor does connect with 2 Immortals. But look at these supplies pick. Even if Astrea somehow pushes this back, this game is over. GG gets called. Trap takes a